Food plus farming plus natural disasters plus infrastructure plus systems plus multifaceted plus romance, Cheng Xi, who had billions of assets and spent his whole life standing at the pinnacle of his life, crossed before he could lie flat. Home without rice, genius husband bedridden, career ruined. She is not afraid. She has villa space and is determined to live a salty fish life enjoying delicious food. Wait a minute, isn't my husband's aura a bit off? Shen Xingluo, in his past life, dragged his remaining body to make the world a chess game, and gained his confidants with unparalleled intelligence, causing fear from many sides. When a boy is hit by a falling epidemic and reborn, he is about to face a once-in-a-century snow disaster. There is also a surface merchant system in his mind that urges him to repay debts every day. Why is his deceased little wife still alive? One sentence summary. This is a story about a rolling king who, after a battle of wits and courage, discovers that he cannot kill the opponent and is determined to kill everyone. Bushi. Guidelines for consumption. 1. The female protagonist fights against the sky, the earth, and the air. The male protagonist is not a good person in the series, whether it's cloudy or sunny, ill or sickly. 2. Focusing on the infrastructure of ancient cuisine, supplemented by multifaceted leveling exercises. 3. Involving planes. Apocalypse, martial arts, modernity, interstellar space, cultivation of immortals, etc. Keywords of the novel. Plain mall. I became a group pet by hoarding goods without pop-ups. Plain mall. I became a group pet by hoarding goods. Download the full text. Plain mall. I became a group pet by hoarding goods. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Scallion cake. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Scallion cake. Linen Prefecture, Huaishui Wharf. The autumn morning carries a hint of bone-chilling coolness, with a thin layer of frost remaining on the fiery red maple leaves. The slightly bleak autumn scenery still cannot resist the lively scene on the shore. Let's do some work. The merchant ship docked, the foreman waiting at the dock shouted, and more than 10 men dressed in ancient costumes lined up to follow. The Huaishui Wharf is located in the central northern part of the Dian dynasty and is an important hub connecting the capital and various prefectures. The vast area is constantly bustling with people, including wealthy merchants boarding merchant ships bidding farewell to their families, vendors selling on both sides, and beggars begging along the streets. A street, witnessing the diversity of human beings. A little girl with withered yellow hair appeared in the corner, pushing a small wooden cart and skillfully lighting firewood under a circular iron sheet. Brush the iron sheet with oil, and put the prepared pancakes on top. Soon, a refreshing aroma wafts into the air. Tsong Yubing, delicious Tsong Yubing. Taste it first and then buy it. This is the only one. After heating the pancake, it explodes layer by layer, and both sides are fried until golden brown. The freshly picked scallions prick with lard, emitting a unique fragrance. Who can resist this fragrance? The ancient people had not yet fully mastered the beauty of ingredients in their food, and the people on the dock had never smelled such a domineering aroma. They couldn't help but take a deep breath and began to secrete saliva in their mouths. It smells good, looks good, I really want to eat. Miss, are you really trying this pancake before buying it? Naturally, honesty is the foundation of doing business. The first Tsong Yubing was cut into equal pieces by her, with several toothpicks beside it. The visitor instantly understood and sighed at her attention to detail. He used a toothpick to take a piece of dough and put it into his mouth. Fresh and crispy, with a hint of salty taste, it's so delicious. As expected, the guest's eyes lit up instantly. I can afford to be the only one. How can I sell this Tsong Yubing? How much do you want, guest? 3 yuan for 1 sheet and 5 yuan for 2 sheets. The man was silent for a moment, as if he was weighing whether it was mantou with 1 yuan or Tsong Yubing with 3 yuan. Helplessly, I ultimately succumbed to the desire for food. I'll spend it once today, give me 2. Okay, I'll pack it for you with oil paper. The little girl smiled more realistically, with dimples on her cheeks faintly visible. The beginning of everything is difficult, but with the first person who dares to try, the observant will feel that there is a truth to being expensive. Give me 2 more, they smell so delicious. Okay. Cheng Xi appears to be 15 or 16 years old. Although he is young, he can't help but have a sweet mouth and is well versed in marketing rules. What can I bring back to War and his parents to taste fresh food? 5-1 will bring back every one of them tomorrow, which will make the guests who come to buy Tsong Yubing smile. Even a dock laborer who only earns 20 copper coins a day couldn't help but pay for 2 tickets for his family, spending money happily. The stall was extremely busy, and in no time, she had a thin layer of sweat on her forehead. When the third merchant ship docked at Huaishui Wharf, 100 Tsong Yubing prepared in the morning were sold out. The people who came and went at the dock were all disheartened when they saw the customers who had bought them eating greasy food. Well, that's it. He hasn't tasted it yet. No, I'm sorry, I came in a hurry today and prepared so much. The person didn't give up and said, that girl, will you come back tomorrow? Come on, I'll prepare more tomorrow to ensure you have enough to eat. The owner of the small car neatly put the utensils back in place and quickly disappeared onto the main street of the dock amidst the regretful gazes of everyone. The streets of the state capital are paved with blue stones, and most of the buildings on both sides are made of blue bricks and black tiles, with a unique gray tone in the antique flavor. Turning into a narrow alley, one person and one car seemed to slow down with a feeling. Sure enough, several timid men quickly walked out of the other end of the alley, with clear goals and walking towards the small car. The leader's eyes dribbled and he looked at her recklessly, afraid that others wouldn't know they were thugs. Young lady, did you voluntarily hand over the silver and let our brothers personally search for it? There was a burst of laughter behind, and the expression on Cheng Xi's face was filled with the lewd evil of red fruit. The little lady smiled, her slightly immature face revealing a profound meaning that was not in line with her age. That's so troublesome. How about I help you buy something and deliver it to your home? Ha! The leading robber had never heard such an answer before and was extremely surprised. In their surprise, Cheng Xi pulled out a round wooden stick about 1 meter long, which was thick and smooth on the top and thin on the bottom, emitting a faint light. The stick body was also vaguely engraved with some symbol. She looks so ugly, but she's quite beautiful. She had only been setting up a stall for a day and was immediately targeted, watching her act alone as a soft persimmon. Find a fight. The wooden stick did not make the other party feel threatened, but instead aroused their anger and rolled up their sleeves to come towards them. Pooh, I don't appreciate it. Cheng Xi walked forward instead of retreating, and with a grin, he met him directly. Bang! Ah! This body was already incredibly powerful, and with a single stick, it knocked the opponent unconscious, almost sending them away. Cheng Xi became more and more adept at using it, with each stick being a small rascal. He knocked down several Dao robbers 3 times and then divided them into 2. There were howls of sorrow. Please bear with me. I've only used it to play before. Without much hesitation, she explained and lifted her chin like an old man, standing in the alley and looking down at the few people lying on the ground. Now, are you still grabbing? In the past, there were people on TV who used to knock people, cars, and windows with baseball bats. She now realizes the joy. No, 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 no. Only then did a few people realize that they had provoked the wrong person, and they got up from the ground with both hands and feet, intending to run away. Who made you leave? Obviously, this time we encountered a harder stubble. Cheng Xi let out a disdainful click and lifted the baseball bat onto his shoulder. Hand over the valuable things on your body. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Villa Space and Location Mall. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Villa Space and Location Mall. Cheng Xi quickly arrived home. The easternmost side of Linnan Prefecture is a residential area, and because it is close to the East Gate, villagers from outside the city can often be seen entering and exiting. At this moment, a graceful figure was pacing back and forth around the door. That is a girl who is 2 years younger than her, wearing a light green dress. Her slender waist is not tight enough to grip, and her eyebrows and eyes are delicate with a faint scholarly aura. Hotuotuo is a standard ancient costume beauty. Xingqi, why are you standing here? Shen Xingluo seemed to breathe a sigh of relief when she saw her, and her worries were immediately replaced by a gentle smile. Miss Xiaoxi, you have come back. Has anyone bullied you? The first thing the other party said was concern, which left Cheng Xi stunned for a moment, and a warm feeling surged in his heart. I'm fine, it's cold outside. Let's go first. You should also wear more clothes. It's cold at the pier, isn't it? I'm wearing thick clothes. Have you eaten yet? Yes, there are still 2 pieces of tsong yubing left this morning. I didn't know that Sister Xiaoxi is such a good cook. Cheng Xi smiled but did not answer. The original owner's cooking skills were not very good, which means they were able to cook the food well. However, Shen Xingluo, as the sister.in.law, is unaware of this matter. That's right, it's my sister.in.law. She crossed the trendy path in Cheng Xi and became a close friend. As for her cheap little husband now lying in bed, her life and death are unknown, and she, as a newlywed woman, has a faint tendency to become a widow. Shen Xingluo was afraid that she would freeze, so after entering the door, she instructed her to go back to her room and rest. Cheng Xi thought there was still something to do, nodded in agreement, and closed the door when he returned to his room. Unlocking the black small bag from her waist, she flipped it back onto the table and the crisp copper plate bounced out. Inside, there are 3 taels of silver coins from a small alley that have been looted from the rich to help the poor, and the rest are all copper coins. Perhaps because of the idea of not being greedy for cheap and not greedy for white, most of today's customers bought 2 pieces of tsong yubing and sold 243 yuan for 100 pieces of them. Excluding costs, I almost forgot, she has no cost. Flour, salt, and oil are all taken from space, and even scallions are freshly harvested in the ground. I never expected that the vegetables I diligently planted in my past life would be cheaper for outsiders in the first bite. Cheng Xi let out a deep sigh, and after working hard all morning, he earned over 200 copper coins. In modern times, there are only 2 red grandpa mao, and even a meal of hot pot made from a certain dish is not enough. And this family is so poor that they can't afford to cook because of a sick patient, eating the kind of food that hasn't been eaten before. A melancholic expression that didn't match her age appeared on her small face. It's difficult to earn money. If only I had met a few more idiots like today. Cheng Xi looked out the window and saw Shen Xingluo busy in the kitchen, but a thought disappeared into the room. The next second, she appeared in front of a modern villa that covered an area of 500 square meters. The attached courtyard was planned into vegetable plots, with various vegetables, fruits and vegetables lush and growing happily. The ancient little girl stood in the courtyard wearing a slightly tattered dress, but instead became the one who stood out of place. However, the person involved was not interested and picked a crispy and tender cucumber while eating, pushing the door open and walking in. The villa has a modern minimalist decoration style, with 1 underground floor and 3 above-ground floors, making it her modern home. The parking lot and storage room in the basement are divided into equal parts. In addition to a black business vehicle that is often driven at work, there is also a highly resistant off-road vehicle, and outdoor survival equipment such as mountain bikes and travel tents are all available. The entrance on the first floor is a foyer that covers an area of more than 10 square meters, and the clothes hanger and shoe cabinet are located on the right side of the entrance. The living room is spacious and bright, with a soft sofa and a soft carpet covering the ground in similar colors. A over 90-inch LCD TV is suspended in the center. The open kitchen is connected to the restaurant, with commonly used kitchen appliances such as ovens, and dishwashers embedded in the walls. 2 large refrigerators with double doors are placed separately on the east side, and milk, eggs, drinks, and snacks are neatly arranged. Thanks to her habit of hoarding in modern times, food with a long shelf life such as rice, noodles, grains, oils, and seasonings in the kitchen can fully support a person's consumption for 3 years. The second floor is a gym and a video room. After graduating from Cheng Xi University, he took over the busy work of the company, saving time from shopping for fitness on weekdays. As a result, there are many downloaded entertainment programs in the video room for leisure. The third floor is the bedroom and study, of which the master bedroom occupies an area of 100 square meters. The 2-meter-wide bed is placed against the wall. The sun shines through the French window onto the soft cloth and sheds a layer of brilliance. In addition to clothes in spring, summer, autumn and winter, there are many jewelry and cosmetics in the cloakroom. There is a large bookshelf embedded in the west wall of the study, and 4 curved screens connected to computers in front of the office desk are used for daily monitoring of stock market trends, but the data always stays on the day of time travel. The household appliances and daily necessities in the villa are all complete, and even after crossing over, they can still be used. I don't know what the principle is. But with this place, even if the sky falls, there is no need to be afraid. Looking at the familiar decorations at home, Cheng Xi's heart that had been hanging for a long time suddenly calmed down a lot. This damn sense of security. Looking through the mirror to see her facial features clearly, the little girl had some doubts, and this was clearly what she looked like in high school. It's just a bit malnutrition. Cheng Xi painfully plucked a handful of yellow hair from his head and decisively took out a bottle of pure milk from the refrigerator, tons, and started drinking. In the bedroom, which is only separated by a wall, the male host is equally troubled. Shen Xingluo's black eyes were fixed on the dusty wall, with a hint of solemnity in its depth. A bone-deep scar on the side of his face added a touch of sharpness to him. He has returned. There were bursts of heart-wrenching pain in his abdomen, and the clear perception seemed to indicate the authenticity of his existence. He never expected to one day return to the turning point of his life. Host, thank you to me for bringing you back. A soft and cute voice rang out in his mind again, successfully pulling back Shen Xingluo's thoughts. I don't think it's meaningful to go back to this time, it's just a journey back to the previous life. At first, when he heard the self-proclaimed voice of the system, he was full of vigilance, and anyone who had been hit by a meteor for 30 years and returned to his youth would be shocked. However, after a morning of confrontation, Shen Xingluo dispelled most of his concerns. A fool who knows everything and speaks endlessly is not worth his brain. Dear, your previous health was too poor. There is no cure for toxins and heart-wrenching potions. If it weren't for me taking you through time and space, you wouldn't have lived long. I'm afraid you won't live long, will you? If it weren't for losing consciousness after being hit, how could he have agreed to bind to a foreign system? The system paused slightly. It's not without reason. The childish electronic voice sounds a bit guilty. Short oil, are we partners? Let's have more differences with each other, the convoluted intonation echoed in my mind. Shen Xingluo couldn't bear to close his black eyes, his voice low and dangerous. Please speak normally. QAQ, which system told it that humans love cute things? See if I don't find it and kill it. So can you change this way of speaking? The unusual silence made Shen Xingluo realize this. The system shivered coldly, feeling its code trembling slightly. Why? The Face Merchant System 666 is dedicated to serving you. The voice function can indeed be changed, but your balance is insufficient. Please pay the debt and try again. Debts. Yes, in order to save your body from being riddled with wounds in your past life, 666 can only activate the shuttle function by overdrawing the limit. Friendly reminder. It is only natural for you to repay your debt. You still have an outstanding amount of 0.100000000 interstellar coins. Shen Xingluo cut off contact directly. With a creak, the bedroom door was pushed open. Shen Xingluo, who was holding a bowl at the door, stared at him for a moment and then burst into tears of joy. Brother, you finally woke up. The girl set aside her food and quickly ran to the bed, crying and laughing. You scared me to death. Is there anything uncomfortable? I'm fine. Perhaps he hadn't spoken for a few days, and Shen Xingluo's voice was low and dull. The doctor said you can make it through as soon as you wake up. I'll invite him over to show you later. Shen Xingluo looked at the deep visible bone scars on his profile and hesitated to speak. Brother, don't lose heart. This scar not only destroyed his originally handsome features, but also his career. My older brother became famous at a young age, and his mentor and clan members had high hopes for him. This time, Qiu Wei won the Jia Yuan in one fell swoop. Who would have thought that on the day of the unveiling, he would encounter a thief? At the age of 18, he should have been full of energy, but unfortunately, a sudden disaster from heaven plunged him into a deep quagmire. This blow was not something that ordinary people could bear. Shen Xingluo was worried about her brother, but she didn't know that she was no longer the innocent young man who only knew how to read. Shen Xingluo's pitch-black eyes flickered slightly, then lowered to conceal the deep meaning in his eyes. Don't worry, I'm fine. You've been unconscious for 2 days, you must be hungry. Let's eat something first. The crispy scallion cake with distinct layers takes a bite, and the scallion mixed with the oil aroma explodes in the mouth, full of salty aroma. Shen Xingluo, who didn't pay much attention, was taken aback and stared at the round cake wrapped in oil paper for a moment. Isn't it very delicious? I didn't expect Sister Xiaoxi's cooking skills to be so good. She even sold 100 cakes at the dock today. Who? Miss Xiaoxi, your mother. Shen Xingluo restrained his mind and rubbed the fabric with his right thumb and index finger, feeling lost in thought. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Husband, it's time to take medicine. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Husband, it's time to take medicine. The door of the Shen family was knocked on, and a young man dressed in station attire was waiting at the door. Cheng Xi opened the door and knew what it was when he saw a letter in his hand. Brother son, has my father's letter arrived? Yeah, it was just delivered this morning. Thank you very much. Cheng Xi took out 5 copper coins and gave them to him, only to be rejected by the young man. No, Uncle Cheng is kind to me. It's just right to deliver the letter. You should take it back. Take it. Is it difficult for you to find it too rare? Sun Xiaorong was at a loss and immediately took it over. That's it. Cheng Xi sighed at the sincerity of the ancients and turned to enter the courtyard. My original father Cheng Daqian was an escort from Hongwei Escort Agency, raising his only daughter on his own. Last year, due to rescuing the Sun family and their mother and son, Sun Xiaorong became grateful and often used the convenience of the post station to deliver letters to the father and daughter. However, this letter from home will eventually not reach the original owner. On the day of the rural examination results, Shen Xingluo was injured in the abdomen and face, and his life was hanging on the line. Due to heavy rain, most of the doctors in the hospital in the city refused to go out for consultations. The original owner ran in the rain for 2 hours before finding someone willing to go out. Long hours of rain caused the original owner to continue having a high fever. Fortunately, when Cheng Xi's consciousness was blurred, he took a pill of ibuprofen, otherwise he would have to go see God as soon as he came through. My family has undergone tremendous changes, and my father, who is a faraway bodyguard, still doesn't know she pinched the thick letter and then tore it open. Cheng Xi nagged a lot in the letter, which shows his concern for his daughter. He even reminded her not to beat her husband, making Cheng Xi feel embarrassed. The word "de" is very lifelike, and he knows that his daughter's goddess power is comparable to that of ordinary people. Xiaoxi, brother, he's awake. What? Cheap husband woke up. Before Cheng Xi could be surprised, he had a bowl of black stuff stuffed into his hand. This is my brother's medicine. I'll go and invite Dr. Lin. She sighed as she looked at the rapidly disappearing figure. Okay, go and see the cheap husband. The Shen family lives in a courtyard with 2 entrances, which was bought by the Shen couple back then. Now, both of the elders have passed away, leaving only a pair of children. Oh no, there's still her right now. Cheng Xi knocked on the bedroom door, grateful that they didn't live together due to injuries, saving each other embarrassment. Brother Shen, I'm here to deliver medicine to you. Enter. The sound inside the door is between that of a boy and a man, with a deep and slightly hoarse tone that resembles a period of voice change. Cheng Xi pushed the door and walked in, facing a thin face. The long scar on the left side of his face was clearly visible, while the right side was intact with a hint of immaturity and clarity. But this is not the reason why she is stiff at this moment. That black eye was too sharp, deep like a vortex, with sharp edges between the eyebrows. This should not be the look that an 18-year-old man should have. Even if he encounters a great change and falls into a quagmire from the proud son of heaven, he should not be so elusive yet intimidating. Little did he know that Shen Xingluo, who was leaning on the bed, was also secretly shocked. This is not the Cheng Xi in his memory. Although he only met a few times before getting married, he still knows a lot about his fiancée A's personality. That is a girl who is too simplistic. When she smiles lightly, the pair curls on her cheeks are deep, and her gaze towards him often carries curiosity and harmlessness. Instead of looking at it with a playful and slightly invisible way like now. Shen Xingluo raised his eyebrows slightly, his scrutiny becoming more apparent. Madam. Cheng Xi regained his senses, his mouth curved to reveal his pure white teeth. Husband, it's time to take the medicine. Confirmed, they are all people who have been severely beaten by society. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Storage compartments. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 4. Storage compartments. Since seeing Shen Xingluo that day, Cheng Xi has rested his mind on exchanging things from space for some silver to end his arduous struggle. She doesn't want to die yet. Cheap husband is clearly a non-fuel. Efficient lamp, with 800 ulterior motives at first glance. Dealing with such people is like scheming with a tiger. Alas, we can only work diligently in the industry. This tragic life. In her previous life, she rolled up from kindergarten to taking over the family business, and was secretly poked and given the title of Roll King. After crossing over, she still wanted to lie flat and retire early. Alright, now, start from scratch. Considering that protecting one's vest is equivalent to protecting one's life, Cheng Xi has launched a daily profit model. Due to the fragrance of the Scallion pancake wafting for 10 miles, it was immediately popular at the Huaishui port, and the supply increased from the initial 100 sheets to 3 taels of silver in 5 days. At this moment, Cheng Xi had already closed his stall and frowned deeply as he looked at the fiery red maple leaves on both sides of the Huai River dock. The weather is not right. Although she has only been wearing it for a few days, the linen prefecture at the end of September should not be so cold, as if some wind and rain are about to come. If it were in modern times, this temperature should have been heated up in advance, right? Cheng Xi has always had a keen intuition, thinking of taking the time to prepare more thick clothes and blankets for unexpected needs. When he was about to arrive home, he took out a bag of rice from the space and placed it on the cart. After a few days of recuperation, Shen Xingluo is now able to support things and walk around. At this moment, he looked expressionlessly at a bowl of steaming soup medicine, picked it up with his slender fingers, and poured it into a pot of orchids in front of the window. The thief of that day was not an accident. Not even a doctor in the mansion who couldn't be hired. As for Dr. Lin, who was invited by Cheng Xi in the rain, Shen Xingluo tugged at the corner of his lips and sneered lightly. Perhaps he was a bit kind-hearted at first. When he was young, he always thought he was mediocre without being envied, but he never expected to be killed by his classmates. His subsequent experience made him understand that if someone provoked him, it could only indicate that he was not standing high enough. Only by standing at a height beyond the reach of others can he shake off all kinds of ghosts and snakes. System. The merchant system at position 666 is dedicated to serving you. The electronic sounds in my mind are almost shouting and splitting. Woo-woo, the interstellar master has finally connected with its host. Is there a more tragic universe than it? Host, please feel free to provide any instructions. Shen Xingluo. He pinched his brow and said, "What's the use of you? This winter is not peaceful, and 4 consecutive months of snow disasters will bring disaster to the entire Yan dynasty. Although Linen Prefecture is bustling, it is inevitable that it will be affected. Countless people will be frozen to death at that time, and a heavy rain next year will leave the fields without any harvest. He must prepare early. Do you think I can trade across planes?" Yes, the host can trade what they have on their own plane to other planes in exchange for interstellar coins, and also support bartering. When the transaction is completed, you can also receive rewards and many benefits. What are the benefits available? Originally, there was also a beginner's gift package, which was drawn once a day, and there was an upgrade gift package for every upgrade, originally. Sorry, host, as you are a debtor, these benefits will not be available to you temporarily. Shen Xingluo hasn't been so speechless for a long time. In his past life, he dragged his body to play chess for the world, relying on unparalleled intelligence to gain his confidants, which led to various fears. There were few people or things worth his attention. I didn't expect such a fool to stand out one day. How to trade? The host can click on the optional plane on the electronic screen, contact the merchant of that plane, and then proceed with the transaction. So far, the orc side is open for you. Host, hurry up and complete the first transaction. A transparent electronic screen appeared in Shen Xingluo's mind, which was different from the reading order displayed by the Great Yan Dynasty. Host. Shen Xingluo, Level 1 Ancient Plane, Gender. Male age. 18 years old. Ability. None level. Level 0, 0/1000, Friend. 0 Interstellar Coin. 1000000000000 Plane Mall. Not opened. He clicked on the link according to the system explanation, and on the screen appeared an orc who looked very big but scratched his head and didn't know what he wanted. Although it was his first encounter, Shen Xingluo quickly understood the specific situation of the orc plane with his intelligence beyond that of ordinary people. He went to the kitchen and got a yellow salt block the size of a baby's fist. "This is salt, it can change the taste of food, I need your prey." Okay, our tribe just killed a big badger pig, we can exchange it for you." The first transaction was completed, and there was an extra half of the processed badger pork in the kitchen, which looked very similar to the wild boar meat of a big swallow. This exchange ratio. It is a scientific conversion based on the different situations of 2 planes in interstellar space, so it's a safe bet. Shen Xingluo seemed lost in thought. Indeed, it's not a loss. Although salt is expensive, half a fan is worth 200 pounds of badger pork, and the silver sold is enough to buy a jar of salt cubes. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the first transaction and unlocking 1 storage compartment. Cheng Xi walked into the kitchen carrying half a bag of rice and found that most of the black jar where salt was originally stored had gone. "Xing Qi, did you pickle the pickled vegetables?" "No, there isn't." Shen Xingluo pinched a handful of vegetables and said, "I'm not at home today. My brother said a hunter wanted to exchange wild boar meat for some salt, so he gave it to him." Cheng Xi glanced at the pork weighing only 2 pounds and then at the black jar at the bottom. Gone. I've been working for nothing these days. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. 5. Braised pork belly in brown sauce. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Braised pork belly in brown sauce. What did Sister Xiaoxi mention? There was a vendor at the dock who said they had brought a batch of high-quality rice from the south, so I casually bought some. Cheng Xi plans to cook a delicious meal. In recent days, it has been Shen Xingluo who has been in charge of cooking. She is very clear and hardworking. Firstly, she is busy earning money without considering it, and secondly, her family is not suitable for greasy food due to injuries. After several days of recuperation, Che Jian's husband's injury looks much better. As a modern bone-ash level foodie, she can only tolerate eating excessively. Cheng Xi washed and steamed high-quality wuchang rice, and processed the 2 pounds of wild boar meat that made her extremely unhappy. The texture of the 5 flours was clearly visible, and she knew at a glance what was most suitable to make. There are a few green leafy vegetables in the kitchen, which are refreshing and add over 2 pounds of wild boar meat to make a good meal. Start the wok, stir-fry the sugar-colored meat, add equal-sized chunks of meat and stir-fry evenly. The aroma layer by layer explodes, and the kitchen is filled with a fragrant aroma. Add an appropriate amount of water, add soy sauce and other seasonings one by one, and cook the pork belly before making the other 2 green vegetables. In his previous life, the family business involved catering business. In his spare time, Cheng Xi often exchanged insights with the head chef, so his cooking skills were superb, and a few dishes were completely effortless. This is the normal life for people. Recently, birds have been fading out of her mouth, which is not her style. An hour later, Shen Xingluo walked into the kitchen with a strong aroma, and her delicate little nose took a sniff. What smells so good? She smelled it right in her boudoir. The rich meat flavor is even more domineering than scallion pancakes, and it's not an exaggeration to say it's fragrant for 10 miles. In the Shen family yard, one can still vaguely hear the screams of neighbors and the pleading of children. In ancient times, being able to eat meat was considered a wealthy family, let alone such an attractive aroma, which was simply tempting and criminal. Cheng Xi was amused by her cute little appearance and added firewood to the stove to collect juice. Braised pork belly in brown sauce. Go to prepare bowls and chopsticks for dinner. Hey, good. Although I don't know what braised pork belly is, I know it's delicious because of its taste. The little girl has been captured by Cheng Xi's cooking skills since she ate Song Yubing, and there is no doubt about it. She pursed a curve at the corner of her mouth, her eyes were sparkling, and even if she was overjoyed, she did not show her pure white teeth, causing Cheng Xi to be momentarily stunned. TSK, every move exudes elegance, which may be difficult for ordinary people to match. My sister-in-law is like a mother, so I have to take good care of my own cabbage. It's been a long time since the Shen family's dining table was so lively. With the sound of Aunt Li hitting the children in the east, a sea bowl of braised pork belly with all colors, smells and flavors was placed in the center of the square table. On the left and right sides of the sea bowl, there are plates of green fried vegetables, and there are 3 bowls of sharp rice by the table. Brother, you're here. A slightly slender figure appeared in front of the door. Cheng Xi looked towards the door and found that Che Jian's husband's face had improved a lot compared to before. He must have been recuperating well these days. Shen Xingluo was taken aback when he entered the door. The fragrance lingering around his nose greatly increased his appetite, and his black eyes looked at the familiar and unfamiliar figure. Recently, they have seen each other very few times, and they remain silent about each other's probing. This is the first time facing each other face-to-face. Cheng Xi looked at him with a smile, and the pear vortex on his cheek came out. Sit down, this is the game you bought at a high price. The 3 words, high price, were bitten heavily, and Shen Xingluo didn't hear them all. His black eyes stared at her without any sense of guilt. Thank you, madam. Thank you for your hard work. This person has such thick skin. 3 people sat down, with deep thoughts on their minds. Only Shen Xingluo was unaware of the lawsuit and focused all her energy on a good table of dishes. How delicious. Sister Xiaoxi, the braised pork belly is delicious, and the rice is also very delicious. The little girl was completely immersed in the delicious food and couldn't extricate herself, as she took care of her upbringing and ate with small bites. I'll do it a few more times in the future. Cheng Xi also felt that the aroma of wild boar meat was somewhat unexpected, assuming that it was of good quality in ancient times. She put a piece of bright braised pork belly in brown sauce, which is sweet and strong, melting in the mouth, and tastes more rich than modern. However, to her surprise, a faint energy flowed into the elixir field, indicating a breakthrough in the original owner's accumulated internal power for several years. This is definitely not the wild boar meat that ordinary hunters can catch. Shen Xingluo picked up the plump grains of rice with chopsticks, which were incredibly white in color. A rich aroma lingered at the tip of his nose, and when he put it in his mouth, he felt its unusual quality. This taste, even if he had tasted the best tribute rice from Dian in his past life, had never existed. The couple almost simultaneously looked up at each other, their deep black and clear eyes seeing the shock and exploration in each other's eyes. I'm careless. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. It is the master who owes money. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. It is the master who owes money. In the bedroom, Shen Xingluo felt a familiar surge of energy inside his body. System, what's going on with this badger pork? In his previous life, due to his weak body, his father-in-law taught him internal energy mnemonics, which allowed him to drag his toxin-eroded body to live until the age of 30. I never thought I would have picked up a big bargain before I had time to practice in this life. Host, don't be afraid. The orc plane dates back to ancient times, and the energy contained in game is normal. Eating it is good for your health. 666 felt like he had secretly poked something big, and his tone of praise was maximized. Does the host feel a slight itching in the wound? I believe it will heal soon, and the scars on the face can also fade away. Shen Xingluo remembered the look in Cheng Xi's eyes just now, and there were faint veins jumping on his forehead. The partners in my mind are not only stupid, but also surprisingly stupid. Remember to make it clear in advance next time. Are you sure you only brought me back during the journey? Of course, the system transforms energy into time and reshapes it to bring the host back to the present. Will anyone else have a system besides me? No, each plane will only have one plane trading system, which can be fully guaranteed. The doubts in Shen Xingluo's heart not only remained unresolved, but also grew even greater. So what's going on with Cheng Xi, who is completely different from his previous life? Host, you have completed 3 transactions and obtained 700 kilograms of orc face badger pork. Would you like to sell it to the system mall to repay your debt? How many interstellar coins can be sold? Due to the ancient energy contained in badger pork, the system is priced at 100 interstellar coins per kilogram, and 700 kilograms is equivalent to 70,000 interstellar coins. Shen Xingluo was not moved and skillfully poured a bowl of medicinal juice into the flower pot. Since you let time go back, you should know that there will be a once-in-a-century snow disaster in the future. Without enough food, you cannot survive, let alone repay huge debts. Implicitly, if you owe it. Only with life can you repay the money. Okay, regardless of ancient or modern times, it's the master who owes money. Host, come on. You still need 300 points to reach level 1, and then you can open your online store. Online store Shen Xingluo opened his personal information page and found that his levels were indeed different. These days of exploration also allowed him to recognize numbers that were completely different from those of the Great Yan Dynasty. Host: Shen Xingluo, Level 1 Ancient Plane, Gender: Male, Age: 18 years old, Ability: Space, 110 square meter storage compartment, Level 0, 700/1000, Friend: 0 Interstellar Coin. 1000000000000 Plane Mall. Not opened. What's going on with the store? When reaching level 1, open a personal store, and the host can upload items belonging to the platform to StarNet. Customers can earn interstellar coins and points after placing an order and purchasing. When the number of points reaches a certain level, they can upgrade. Upgraded to level 3 to unlock the plane mall, you can purchase goods in the mall. Host: Hurry up and work hard. Shen Xingluo raised his eyebrows slightly and was able to complete the transaction without leaving home, which is good news. For today's plan, in addition to preparing winter supplies, it is also necessary to raise the level. Coming out of the Shen family, Cheng Xi grabbed 3 taels of silver from his pocket and went to the grocery store. Sir, what do you want to buy? Do you have salt? Yes, we have top quality official salt here. How did it sell? 1 tael of silver. How many taels do you want, sir? 1 or 2 salts are worth 1 money. Cheng Xi originally wanted to buy a weight of 3 or 2 pounds, but when he heard this, he suddenly froze. She had always known that ancient salt was expensive, but never expected it to be sold for 1 or 2 silver coins per kilogram, still the kind of yellow, dark, and bitter salt blocks. Cough, let's start with half a pound. I'm feeling shy in my pocket. Fortunately, there is a lot of salt in the space, enough to eat for 2 to 3 years. As soon as the waiter heard this, he immediately dug up some scales. Cheng Xi took some time to look at other things in the shop and found that there were actually many types of grain for sale here. How do you sell this rice? My guest is really discerning. That's top quality Jianghuai rice, weighing 25 won per kilogram. Upon hearing this, Cheng Xi twitched her lips. Isn't she just discerning? The bag of rice she pointed to had the whitest and most honest grains, and the bags next to her looked as if they were moldy without some shells. However, even the best and most honest ones have shrunk significantly compared to modern white rice. She finally knew what the cheap husband's gaze meant: make a mistake. Cheng Xi inquired about several types of grain and also roughly understood the prices of the Great Yan Dynasty. The cheapest black noodles here cost 5 won per kilogram, which is the most commonly eaten food by the people. White noodles cost 8 won per kilogram, and families who prefer them will buy some as staple food. The most common cheap rice ranges from 8 to 15 won, and the best rice from the Jianghuai region is the most expensive, which is only bought and eaten by wealthy families. Sir, would you like some Jianghuai rice? No need. Cheng Xi's heart was as calm as water. He placed half a piece of silver on the table, picked up the packed salt blocks, and walked out of the grocery store without looking back. The attentive waiter's face gradually stiffened. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. You ancient people knew marketing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. You ancient people understood marketing. Cheng Xi walked on the streets of Linjiang Prefecture carrying large and small bags. Apart from half a pound of salt, she bought a few feet of fabric and 20 pounds of cotton that had been stretched at the cloth shop, which cost 2.5 pounds of silver. It's really not worth spending money on. Thanks to the support of those road robbers, otherwise my cheap husband would have spent all his medicine money. After much thought, we still need to make money. Upgrade the scallion pancake tomorrow. Cheng Xi touched the remaining 5 coins on his body and walked to a pork stall. Boss, how do you sell this meat? How much do you want for lean meat at 15 won per kilogram and fat at 20 won per kilogram, young lady? How do you sell 7 pounds of lean meat and 2 pounds of fat, pig trotters and pig ears? This thing has no meat, and no one usually wants it. Please give me 5 and take it away. The boss was full of dividend demands, and his knife clattered twice to cut 5 pounds of meat. He then turned around and strung the 4 pig trotters and 2 pig ears together with straw ropes. Cheng Xi looked at the good thing bought with 5 and was overjoyed. Boss, leave all these unsold items to me in the future, and I will come over to pick them up. Really? Isn't the little lady joking? Really, I won't take the rest. I'll give you 10 for 4 pig trotters and 2 ears. Pig trotters are all good things, but it takes too much time to handle. She really doesn't have the patience, and compared to pig trotters, their cost-effectiveness is too high. The weather is getting colder and colder now, and even if it's braised, it won't spoil. It's not too beautiful to occasionally take it out for a tooth ceremony. It's really not possible, she can still put it in the refrigerator of the space, right? The vendor readily agreed, okay, then I'll leave it alone for the little lady. The other party took a pile of copper coins and laughed so hard that they couldn't see their teeth. They sighed inwardly that they had met a big customer today. Cheng Xi paid and quickly arrived home carrying his belongings. He took out a few spices from the space and braised all the meat he had bought. Under the heat of a large fire, the pork that has been blanched to remove the fishy smell emits a fragrant aroma. Milk, it smells so good, it's meaty. Who's cooking delicious food again? It's hard for people to live these days. Milk, I want to eat meat. If you eat, you know how to eat. Where does our family have the money to make you eat meat all day? Let me work. Very good, the child next door is crying again. Cheng Xi was in a great mood, humming a song and picking up the cotton and cloth he had bought, and then he approached his sister. Law. Xing Qi, can you make a few bedding beds with good stitching? Shen Xingluo was embroidering a purse at this moment, and a screen over a meter wide was placed on the east side of her boudoir. In the pattern, butterflies and birds complemented each other vividly. This craft can be fully applied for world heritage in modern times. Of course, my family is all managed by Sister Xiaoxi, so I helped with sewing. I have my own strengths, but I am far behind you in embroidery. Remember, you are the treasure of our Shen family. The little girl doesn't seem to know much about her potential and value, so how can she do it? I, the people of Cheng Xi, must put on the posture of, I am the best in the world. Even if I don't have it, I have to teach her. Shen Xingluo had no idea that she would embark on a path of dominance. She gave her a faint smile and her cheeks turned pink from being praised. Xiaoxi, you're so kind. This child is quite easy to coax. Cheng Xi couldn't help but take out a lollipop from the space and give it to her. Here, the candy I bought today. I'm not a child. I'm not yet 15 years old, why aren't I just a child? She's still a baby herself. Cheng Xi roughly estimated the weight of cotton, which is about 20 pounds, enough for 1 person and 1 bed. First, make 3 blankets. I see the weather is a bit cold, so the blankets should be thicker. There are quite a few warm silk quilts in her space, which are also made of high-quality fabrics. However, taking them out is too eye-catching. To survive in ancient times for a long time, one must adapt to the environment. Shen Xingluo nodded and, with her help, opened the lollipop candy paper and put it in her mouth. Her dark eyes were incredibly bright. In the morning, Cheng Xi put on his clothes, pushed open the window, and took out a thermometer. 3 degrees. It's 2 degrees lower than yesterday. The water in the wooden bucket in the yard has a faint tendency to freeze. The weather this year is indeed abnormal, and speculation has cast a shadow over Cheng Xi's mood. Preparedness and a sense of crisis have been deeply ingrained in her bones. She is not afraid of 10,000, so be prepared in advance is always right. Cheng Xi's eyes narrowed slightly as he took out a pen and paper from the space and began to ponder how to spend the winter. Cotton clothes and quilts are essential items. In ancient times, charcoal was too expensive, so you can buy more firewood to store. The windows need to be sealed, and in case of strong winds, snow, oil paper can easily break holes. An iron stove for burning firewood is also needed to ensure indoor temperature. The most important thing is food. Although there is nothing lacking in her space, there are still 2 people at home, and things need to be clear. Oil, salt, soy sauce, vinegar, seasoning, eggs, meat, fruits and vegetables, commonly used soup and medicine. In ancient times, buying knives was not illegal. Do you want 2 of them? Add it. When there was not much pure white A4 paper, she wrote it down to the brim, listing a lot of supplies. The mobile phone in the space rang an alarm bell, and Cheng Xi reluctantly put it in, pushing the car to start a new day of making money. Huaishui Wharf. This is truly an important transportation hub for the Great Yan dynasty, with the docks still bustling and shouting loudly as usual. The arrival of the small cart caused many people to stop and watch, and 5 days was enough to open up sales for the fragrant scallion pancakes. Due to its good quality and affordable price, her stall not only gained the love of dock workers, but also wealthy people who used to run businesses couldn't help but buy more street food. Young lady, you've come. Give me 2 cakes. Okay. Cheng Xi quickly raised an iron plate, and the pre-prepared scallion cake tasted hot and oily, quickly emitting a fragrance. The regular sniffed hard and his gaze fell precisely into the wooden barrel on the right. It's meaty. Did the little lady prepare any other food? Yes, it's braised meat. Adding braised meat to the pancake is delicious. Would you like to have one, sir? Cheng Xi opened the wooden barrel and a unique flavor of braised meat wafted out. The meat is rosy with a strong 5 fragrance, and its color is tempting, instantly capturing the taste buds of everyone around 500 meters. Today, in addition to tsong yubing, she also made a lot of meat bun crust, which can be used after being heated on the iron plate for a few seconds, which can be said to be a fast food. Cheng Xi didn't wait for the regulars to answer before picking out a fist-sized braised meat, cutting it into small pieces with green peppers, and putting it into the heated crust. My guest, it's 5 won each. Would you like to try something fresh? The person on the other side who was still hesitating was taken aback. Ah, the little lady is ready. Isn't it not good not to buy? 1 by 1, take 10 won. Okay. The other party almost took a bite from the moment they took the oil paper packet, and the next second they were all stunned. A group of spectators next to him were even more anxious than him. How about it, is it delicious or not? The taste is so delicious, there's no reason why so much meat isn't delicious. What reaction is this? You're talking. Oh my, I'm so anxious. Shouldn't I be choking? Under the gaze of everyone, tears of excitement welled up in the eyes of the regulars. It's so delicious, 2 more, no, 3 more. Isn't it just 5 won each? It's not expensive, he can still eat 5 more. Frequent customers take money out of their pockets and eat bread in large gulps, wishing to stuff it into their mouths. The others gathered around when they saw this posture. Little lady, give me a cake with meat. I'll have 1 too, and 2 more scallion pancakes. The car was instantly submerged by customers, with 3 floors inside and 3 floors outside, almost squeezing the owner out. Cheng Xi. There's no need to exaggerate. You ancient people were knowledgeable about marketing. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Cost. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Cost. 300 scallion pancakes and 9 pounds of braised meat were quickly sold out. Cheng Xi counted the profits and earned 1 or 2 silver coins after deducting the costs. This income is enough for the common people to have enough food and clothing, but now time is running out and it's still too little. When the reputation of braised meat spreads, you can try selling it in a way. Brother Wang, today we have 30 pounds of pork. Okay, I'll give you 1 cent less per kilogram. The little lady has already finished what she bought yesterday. I did some business. Cheng Xi counted the copper coins and gave them to the butcher, then took the pig trotters and ears that had already been ordered. To get home from the dock, she had to cross the main street of Linen Prefecture. She went to the grain shop to buy 50 pounds of white flour, 30 pounds of polished rice, and 10 pounds of soybeans. All the gaps on the small cart were arranged clearly. Thanks to the innate divine power of the original owner, otherwise it would be a question of whether it could be pushed. Turning into the alley where the Shen family was located, Cheng Xi saw a low-key and luxurious carriage parked at the door, with servants wearing gray clothes standing on both sides. There are guests coming. She guessed the other person's identity in her heart and heard clear conversations coming from the yard. Brother Shen, how have you been lately, but have you seen a doctor? Cough cough. Excuse me, thank you. Brother Zhou has been thinking about it, I'm fine. A fierce cough sounded. Shen Xingluo was a bit anxious and said, Brother, it's cold outside. You just started to improve a bit, so you can't stay here anymore. Look at me, I was negligent. Brother Shen, hurry inside. Cheng Xi parked his car at the door, and when he pushed the door in, the first thing he saw was the weak and easily wrestling cheap husband. His clear and tired face was tinged with thick exhaustion, and his eyes were visibly blue. What? When did her husband become so weak? It's a bit scary to look like you can't survive 2 episodes. Brother Shen, this is, Prince Jinfu raised his eyebrows unexpectedly when he saw Cheng Xi, and his handsome face showed a light smile, looking friendly and tight. Shen Xingluo coughed twice, out of breath. This is Zhuojing. Sire, this is Zhou Shuji's son, Zhou Gongzi, who is my husband's classmate in the academy. It turned out to be Mrs. Shen. When Shen brother got married, Zhou did not come to congratulate him, which was really impolite. Young Master Zhou, as your husband's classmate, once your heart reaches it, it will be good. Cheng Xi leaned slightly to avoid the other person's salute and looked at them calmly. The vertical crown and brocade attire, whether it's the fixed hairpin with ruby inlaid on the head or the carriage outside, is enough to indicate the family background of this young master of Zhou. He himself has handsome facial features, especially the smile on his face, which adds a touch of charm. The magistrate of Linen Prefecture seems to be surnamed Zhou, cough cough. Cheng Xi withdrew his gaze and turned his head to meet Shen Xingluo's deep, bottomless black eyes. Brother Shen, today I specially invited Dr. Wu from Renxin Hall to give you a number and pulse, okay? Thank you very much, young Master Zhou. Thank you, Dr. Wu. The old man behind the young master of Genie walked forward with a medicine box, reached out his right hand and rested it on Shen Xingluo's wrist. He shook his head and sighed for a moment. Shen Gongzi's pulse is weak, and he is afraid that his abdomen has been severely injured. Brother Shen is the Jun of our Linen Prefecture. There must be no trouble. Although Dr. Wu prescribes medicine, he must cure the injury. Yes, I'll write a prescription now. Dr. Wu nervously wrote a prescription, and Shen Xingluo thanked his sister and started coughing again. Cheng Xi supported him and said, Husband, do you want to go back to your room and rest? Madam Shen is right. Brother Shen, why don't you go back to your room? It's Zhou's, not Zhou's. You should come back to visit in a few days. The other party seemed to have no intention of staying longer, and after a few pleasantries, the luxurious carriage quickly disappeared into the alley. Next to her, Shen Xingluo was holding a freshly made prescription with both hands and was in a state of confusion. Brother, why has your condition worsened again? What should I do? I'll go get you some medicine first. Go ahead. 2 people were quickly left in the yard. Cheng Xi withdrew his hand that was holding him, holding a small and medium-sized ball in his palm. It is said that clamping an iron ball under the armpit can change the strength of the pulse and even cause brief pulse arrest. Is that true? The lady is intelligent, but she didn't expect to have some research on medical books. Shen Xingluo, who had been exposed, was not at all guilty. His gaze outside the door was sharp and cold. Does that Zhou Shuji want to take the top scorer exam? Which student in the world doesn't want to become the top scorer? Why does the lady ask so? I remember he was Yi Yuan from the Linen Prefectural Examination, who ruined you. In addition, his family's influence in the court last week made it easy for him to pass the exam in one fell swoop. As soon as Cheng Xi finished speaking, he noticed that Che Yi's husband's gaze had changed. What? I'm not right. Shen Xingluo's black eyes were heavy, his thin lips pursed tightly, and the atmosphere around him suddenly became tense. After a while, he withdrew his gaze. How did you know? Guess it. Now it seems that my guess is correct. Cheng Xi rarely recalls the experiences of the original owner when he passed by, but just now Shen Xingluo pretended to be weak and reminded her of some things. On the day of the release, he encountered a robber and even ruthlessly attacked, even destroying his appearance. And the original owner ran through the entire state capital without being able to hire a doctor who was willing to go out, even if it was raining heavily. The title of Jia Yuan should not be so cheap. Some people dislike cheap husbands and want to get rid of them quickly. Who could this person be? Firstly, Shen Xingluo's reaction gave her inspiration, and secondly, Zhou Shuji's acting skills were not up to par. The handsome young master's kind smile was enough to deceive the little girl, but he couldn't hide it from the eyes of Cheng Xi. She doesn't know how many business elites she has to face every day in the workplace, with a smile on the surface and a desire to kill each other. Without any insight, she dares not manage such a large company. Since you know he's restless and kind-hearted, are you planning to drag him on by asking Xingqi to catch the ineffective medicine of Tai Ding? Now is not the time for a counterattack. Shen Xingluo lowered his gaze, concealing the profound meaning in his eyes. Do you have any other insights, madam? It's not impossible either. Cheng Xi had a slight toothache and said, that's right, it costs a lot of money. Shen Xingluo. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Is it worth 200 taels? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Is it worth 200 taels? Shen Xingluo's eyes flickered slightly as he saw the cloth bag on the wooden cart. Did the lady buy rice and noodles? Yeah, I've noticed that the weather has been a bit cold lately, so I can keep some food at home without feeling anxious. Cheng Xi didn't think much and put the things into the kitchen. I also bought some cotton and a few pieces of cloth. Do you need to buy winter clothes? It is indeed necessary to add a few pieces. Shen Xingluo stared at her with dark eyes and said, can you go to the bookstore for me, madam? Of course, my husband is seriously ill, where can he leave the house? Cheng Xi said this purely to stimulate him. Despite being an 18-year-old boy, every move seems more like an old man in his teens, lacking any vitality. However, Shen Xingluo not only did not refute, but also took her to the study without saying a word. The Shen family study is located on the west side of the north house. As soon as you enter, the ink smell fills the wall, and the wooden bookshelf is filled with books. There is no shortage of pens, ink, paper, and inkstones. The handwriting of the Dian dynasty was in traditional Chinese, but due to the fact that printing was still in the rigid period, the transmission of the 4 books and 5 classics relied entirely on manual copying. Just as she was observing, there were 2 more bound books in front of her. These are 2 books that I recently copied. You can exchange 1 or 2 silver coins for them by handing them over to manager Zhao of Huayuan bookstore. Do I need to bring you some paper and pens? No need. Shen Xingluo took out a ginger book from a wooden box on the bookshelf and placed his right hand on the back of the book. Hand over this book to shopkeeper Zhao and exchange all the silver for grain. Is this an ancient book? It looks quite valuable. How much silver can it be sold? 200 taels. Oh no, it's so valuable. Cheng Xi took the ginger yellow book and felt a little more contemplation in his heart. For scholars, ancient books are more important than life. At first glance, this book is like a heavy load, and its owner would waste a lot of money selling it for food. So it can only indicate that the latter is more important. Shen Xingluo was looking up at the sky outside the window at this moment, with no reluctance to part with ancient books in his eyes. If it were in the past, he might have regarded it as a treasure, but living a lifetime is not as important as these things. Moreover, in his past life, many high-ranking officials and dignitaries knew that he liked to give gifts with both hands, to the extent that there were countless ancient books in his study. Keep this important thing. Cheng Xi pondered for a moment before putting the ginger book in his hand back into the wooden box. My dad travels from south to north as a bodyguard and has sent me many new and interesting toys, which can be used in emergency situations. Cheng Dakian does have the habit of bringing souvenirs for his daughter, but most of them are local trinkets that are not worth much silver. Obviously, Shen Xingluo also thought the same way, his black eyes fixed on her for a moment. Wait, I'll show you. After Cheng Xi returned to his room, he flashed into the space. There were many miscellaneous items piled up in the storage room. After searching for a while, he picked up a wooden box carved with flowers and came out. Here, is your husband giving you a palm eye? She is not a pure ancient person, and the original owner has very few memories about novel things. The reason why Che Jianfu saw her was to dispel his desire to sell ancient books and also to make him estimate the price. The rectangular wooden box is neatly placed on the desk, with several plum blossoms carved on the outside, exuding an elegant atmosphere. Shen Xingluo's gaze gradually showed interest, and his slender and fair fingers opened the wooden box, revealing a set of exquisite tea sets before his eyes. That is a jade-glazed enamel-colored tea set, with 6 slightly smaller teacups on top of an exquisite tea bowl. Due to the theme of plum blossoms, this tea set has a pink color tone overall, with the unique transparency of glass and no impurities, making it breathtaking in beauty. The pink tea cup has a wooden handle on one side, and the plum blossom branches extend from here to the cup body. The interplay of green leaves and red petals adds a touch of poetry. Undoubtedly, its beauty was stunning in ancient times before the appearance of enamel. Shen Xingluo picked up one of the teacups and carefully observed, his deep black eyes flickering. This kind of appearance and elegance, even if he had peeked at the wonders of the world, he had never seen it before. Is it really a novel item bought by the father of the Cheng family to give to his daughter? Cheng Xi has no idea how scarce the item he bought for 118 is. How about it, is it worth 200 taels? This thing looks really elegant when viewed alone. At that time, she was also led astray by the little sister in the live broadcast room, but after buying 5 sets in one go and receiving them, she never looked at them again. Without him, the colorful jade, glass, and enamel colors come together, so dusty that they fall into pieces. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Never seen. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Never seen. Coming out of the pawn shop, Cheng Xi, dressed in men's clothing, received 3,000 taels of silver coins. The feeling of getting rich overnight is really satisfying. No wonder the group of people who were demolished in their past lives first started with clothing, jewelry, and luxury cars. They personally experienced that from nothing to something, their temperament did not keep up. Cheng Xi turned into an empty alley and entered the space. Now she dresses like a scholar, and just getting 3,000 taels of silver is quite impressive. To avoid being targeted, it's better to change clothes again. A moment later, a girl wearing a bright yellow dress walked out of the alley entrance. Her hair was combed into a maid style and fixed with a golden hairpin. Her eyebrows and eyes were deepened with a paintbrush, her chin pointed, and when she looked up and straightened her chest, she looked like a first-class maid next to a wealthy lady. Cheng Xi was very satisfied with his current attire and went to the grain shop on East Street as his first stop. "Waiter, what kind of food do you have here? Our place is the largest grain shop in Linnan Prefecture. We have top-grade white flour and rice, everything. What do you want to buy, girl?" The waiter saw the hollow hairpin on the person's head at a glance, which shone brightly in the sunlight. Small households do not have such rare objects. Big customer. He came out from behind the counter and enthusiastically explained to the guests one by one. "Miss, please take a look. This is top-grade white flour, ground from this year's new wheat. Over there is authentic Jianghuai rice, which was just transported from Huainan a few days ago." Cheng Xi calmly strolled through the entire grain shop, but he believed the waiter's boasting. This is indeed the largest grain shop in Linnan Prefecture, as can be seen from the variety alone. The shop is clean and tidy, looking very comfortable. First, 1,000 kilograms of white flour, 500 kilograms of Jianghuai rice, 500 kilograms of corn flour, soybeans, mung beans, and millet each, and 100 kilograms of sorghum, black flour, and brown rice each. The waiter took a cold breath and was indeed a big customer. Okay, how many girls do you want? I'm a little surprised to see the girls, I don't know which mansion they are from. My master passed by Linnan Prefecture by boat and wanted to bring some things from here home, so naturally you don't know me." Cheng Xi's chin slightly lifted, full of pride. "You can ask the staff to prepare the rice and noodles and follow me, and deliver them to the vicinity of the Huaishui port. There will naturally be someone to move them then." Okay, listen to the girl. In just a moment, even if the price was fixed, the waiter bought enough grain to fit 2 large flatbed trucks. Arriving at the uninhabited alley near the dock, Cheng Xi sent away the porters and quickly loaded them into the space with a wave of his right hand. The waiter in the grain shop looked at the account and laughed like a fool, sighing that it would be better to have more passing merchant ships in the future. Suddenly, another question came to his mind. I don't know which family this maid belongs to. Whether she wants to go north or south, she actually bought all the grain from both the north and south. Is there still such a specialty to bring? Cheng Xi, who was being remembered by others, has arrived at the cloth shop. He bought 100 kilograms of cotton and 5 pieces of cloth, ready-to-wear shoes, mink fur coats, and other items, and then delivered them to the vicinity of the dock according to the previous pattern before loading them into the space. Due to having enough silver, she, who has always pursued a quality of life, directly bought 1,000 pounds of charcoal and drew a sketch of the northeast iron furnace, allowing the blacksmith to make 5 candles, window oil paper, knives, tea, winter easy-to-store white radishes, woad, pumpkin, winter melon, and scallions. After buying all the supplies he could think of, Cheng Xi finally ended his journey of sweeping up supplies. She finally spent 30 taels of silver on a regular carriage at the market and put a portion of the rice and noodles in the space back home. Through the entrance of the Shen family, the aroma of pork on the noon brine wafted out. The old lady next door is afraid she will hit the child again. Cheng Xi happily hummed a song and unloaded his things from the kitchen, his gaze fixed on a piece of wild boar meat on the chopping board. She glanced at the jar filled with salt, it was very good, but another piece was missing. Jian Pawn Shop. After seeing off Cheng Xi, the shopkeeper Wang was overjoyed while holding the wooden box, his face contorted with a smile. The waiter carried tea into the backyard and shivered coldly when he saw his appearance. Shopkeeper, have you found the treasure again? He hadn't seen this smile for a long time. Last time, a lady dressed in gorgeous clothes brought a family heirloom gem to appear. Did you find a bargain again this time? Baby, big baby. Manager Wang's hands trembled with excitement. If he had a good estimate, using this thing well would make him worry-free for the rest of his life. Really? Can you make the little one palm and I? You. Don't join in the fun. Manager Wang squinted his small eyes and pondered for a moment, but in the end, he seemed to have made up his mind and couldn't wait to leave the door holding the wooden box. Huzi, I have handed over the front counter to you. Hey, shopkeeper, don't worry. The waiter, known as Huzi, watched as the plump figure of the master gradually faded away. He sneered and began a strange inspection with his hands behind his back. The shopkeeper Wang walked along the main street to an extremely spacious mansion and knocked on the back door of the mansion. This young man, I have something important to visit Mrs. Zhou. He tucked a purse into the arms of the gatekeeper, flattered him with a smile, and the other person's originally impatient expression instantly became enthusiastic. You are. I am the shopkeeper of a pawn shop in Shejian. My surname is Wang, and I have something to show my filial piety to my wife. It turns out to be Manager Wang. Please wait a moment, I'll go report now. In just a moment, the wooden box in the hand of the shopkeeper Wang was respectfully visited in the living room in the backyard of the mansion. What treasure is worth the shopkeeper making such a big fuss about? Open it for everyone to see. Zhou picked up a cup of brewed green tea in her right hand, and her bright red nails shone in the sunlight. Before she could finish her tea, screams of surprise echoed in the living room. She paused and looked at the wooden box, where the enamel-colored tea set, free of impurities, caught her eye. Zhou forgot the teacup in his hand for a moment, staring at the object in front of him in a daze, his eyes blazing. What kind of jade is this? How could it be so transparent? It's unprecedented. End of this chapter.